Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed. My friends call me Mo. I'm a UCLA medical student and I'm also an Albert Schweitzer Fellow. I'm really passionate about public health, and really quickly, public health is the prevention of disease, prolonging life, as well as promoting good health. Now, being passionate about public health means that I like to deal with problems in the community. Particularly, I chose to focus on obesity in LA County, especially in the Lennox community. And the reason for that is that actually in the Lennox community, adult obesity is actually at about 30%, upwards of that actually. It's a little higher than that, which is a pretty high rate. Now, in addition to that, there is a high childhood obesity rate in LA County in general. It's upwards of 20% over the county, over the entire county, with some parts actually being as high as 25% or even higher than 25%. And that's around where Lennox community actually is. So because of that, I really wanted to focus on childhood obesity, because this is a particular time where if we're able to kind of prevent it from happening or catch it early and reduce it, that it can have a lot of potential health effects in the future. Now, what is obesity? As a healthcare professional, we really like numbers, and it's easy to make diagnosis using numbers. Because of that, we use BMI, or body mass index. Now, a body mass index pretty much just takes someone's weight and compares it to their height. And for adults, if it's over 25, they're overweight, and then when it's over 30, they're actually considered obese. How do you get obesity? Now, obesity, there's thought to be a good genetic component, which means that a good amount of why someone becomes obese is because of their genes, and how someone's particular genes actually predispose them to using energy in a different manner. Simply put, that's not the only thing that happens, but there's also an environmental aspect, which has to do with behavior and the way that we eat and the way that our foods are processed in the modern day and age. Regardless, a kind of overarching way to look at obesity is that we take in more energy than we expend or we use, and that means that pretty much means that we eat more than we actually move and use our bodies to do work, which means that there's an imbalance there and a net positive in energy, which is eventually stored as fat. Now, what can obesity cause? Well, being obese actually increases a person's risk for heart attack, or for heart problems such as heart attack and heart disease, for stroke, and for diabetes. Along with these, also there are other problems that obesity will make someone susceptible to, which is hypertension or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, which means that you have a lot of fat running around in your blood. In addition, there are certain cancers that being obese will make you susceptible for, and they are cancers that are throughout the body, not just in one area. And you also can get liver problems, which has a whole list of complications that comes with it. And last but not what I will mention, but not least, of the problems that you can get with obesity is also joint and bone problems. For example, people who are heavier tend to get knee problems more often than those who are not heavier of the same age. So, a lot of problems head to toe, and I want to touch on some of these so that you all have an idea of what exactly can happen. Now, told you that it puts you at increased risk for stroke. A stroke is when a part of the brain dies because not enough blood flow gets to it, which means that no oxygen will get to it. The reason that happens is that you have a blockage of the arteries or the blood vessels in your brain. How do you get a blockage? Well, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but suffice to say, obesity puts you at risk for a lot of those factors. Some of those factors are high cholesterol, being in an inflammatory state, or just kind of like, which means that you example of inflammation is when you have like a swollen area of your skin where you've hurt it, or you bumped your head somewhere, bumped your hand after playing soccer or football or something like that. You notice it's kind of red and swollen. That's inflammation. So that can be happening in your entire body if someone is obese. And that, along with high cholesterol and high blood pressure, all these things put together, which obesity can also cause these things, can cause what's called atherosclerosis. Now, atherosclerosis, that's not the only cause of stroke, but that is one thing, a process that could be going on, which means the narrowing of arteries or blood vessels. But that is another factor that adds into the risk of stroke. So if you notice, it's kind of like a whole circle going on. All these things feed into each other. They're caused by obesity. They're complicated by obesity. So it's not a good picture. Regardless, it makes your body a module or a vessel for disease. Stroke being one of them, and a really bad one. With stroke, there's some parts of your brain that if you were to knock out, you'd get a droopy face, and with a droopy face, sometimes you'll get a droopy arm that actually doesn't work very well, and you can't use its muscles, you can't move it very well. So think of how that affects you in daily life. You can't take a spoon of cereal and bring it to your mouth because your arm doesn't move, let alone when you put it in your mouth, it's going to drip right out because your mouth muscles can't really close and you can't chew very well. Sometimes a stroke can affect your legs, which means that you can't move and you're wheelchair bound, and you can't, and for you guys more closely, it would be you can't play your sports, or you can't even walk outside the door, so let alone play sports and all that other stuff. Then, like I said, there's heart problems. With heart problems, same thing. You have chest pain, you can have a heart attack, you can't really walk very far after you're diagnosed with some heart problems because you get chest pain. And then going along with the heart problems is problems with your vessels in general of the cardiovascular system, or the heart and the vessels, is that you can get areas of atheroma or atherosclerosis, where you have narrowing of the arteries, and you can have pain of your arms and your legs, especially the legs. When you walk, you get really sharp and bad, deep aching pain that can also cause other problems, but especially can be disabling. Then diabetes. Diabetes is a systemic problem, which means it's all over your body. It affects everything. It can cause blindness. It can cause nerve damage, and that's usually because of nerve damage and because of vascular or blood vessel damage. You can also get blood vessel and nerve damage of your hand and feet, leading people to not be able to feel. And when you can't feel, you tend to hurt yourself and not know that you've hurt yourself. And if that happens, on top of in diabetes not being able to heal your scars and any kind of areas where you've hurt your body very well, those two things combined, not being able to heal well, one, and two, hurting yourself and not knowing it, can lead to actually getting what's called something like a diabetic foot ulcer, or a non-healing area which you've hurt, and that can eventually become infected, and it could cause amputation. It may necessitate, or you may need an amputation. So diabetes is also very bad disease. Obesity has a link to it, and it actually will complicate it. And among these, there's all these other problems that I mentioned, which is high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and the joint problems and liver problems that you can have, and all of those have their certain complications. So in general, obesity is really bad, and you may not see the effects of it now. All you may see is that you're overweight and your clothes start getting tighter, and you have to, you may not be able to be as versatile and as active and aerodynamic as some of your friends may be, but a couple of years down the line, you can have a lot of problems. And one thing that is happening is that we're seeing diabetes in a lot of younger people now because of obesity. So it's a big problem, and I want all of us to collectively, as a team, tackle it together. Okay, which means that I need your help in doing this and in addressing this problem. And the way that I'm hoping to address this problem is that I'm going to have a series of videos, short ones like this one, maybe even a little shorter than this one, where you're going to listen to the video, watch it, and right afterwards you're going to do a little worksheet. Your teacher will give you the final answers for that worksheet, and what I want you to do is implement some of the things that you learn from these videos into your own lives. Okay, you're not going to see benefit in a day or two, you're not going to see benefit in a week, but I assure you that in a month, 2 months, a year, you're going to see major benefits. Okay. Another thing is that I want you to help spread the word. Tell your parents, aunts, uncles, your siblings, your friends from other schools. Tell them about what you're doing in your life and what you've learned here from these videos. That way they learn, they can implement it in their lives, and also they can tell others. Okay. So the big thing here is, you may not be affected by obesity right now, you may be thin, you may be okay, and within those range that I said, the 5th to 85th percentile of weight for your height, but we need to make sure we keep it that way, and that we develop good habits of diet and exercise in order to prevent obesity. If you are overweight or obese, we really need to reduce your weight and reduce any kind of problems, like the chance of problems occurring in the future. So I'm really excited to be in this adventure with you guys. I hope you are as well. Please do try to implement some of these tips into your daily lives.